And welcome into the Monday edition, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, brought to you by First Horizon, Big Bank Muscle, Small Bank Hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get it all. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Joe Rexrode, good morning. How are you? What's going on?
Good morning. Doing great. Congrats to, wait a minute. I think my computer's on. No. What's that extra sound? Oh, it's the TV that I turned on behind
that
you.
you turned on. What's
going on?
Is
that the TV that I turned on? Here we go. Watch this in real time. Wait, it's to the side. It's on the side.
It is.
Did I do it? I did it. So let's talk about our equipment a little more. No. Shout out to Raptor Rugby, state champs.
Yes.
Big win. Raptors, which, based in Redwood, they have some nice Nolensville kids on the team. We beat 901 Rugby out of Memphis, and big win up near your part of the world there.
Really?
Yeah, right by, I don't know what that park is, but it's Hendersonville. It's right by Drake's Creek.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Right close to it. Yeah.
Wow. How about that?
Big win. 41-10. Could not possibly tell you how those 41 points were scored. Or like why this was this many points or that was that many points, but it was a ripping effort. Great effort.
Where did you start on a scale of 1 to 10? Where did you start in this process as a rugby expert, and where do you think you are now?
Well, I'm nowhere near where I need to be. I've done, I've learned a lot about it. It's a really fascinating game. I mean, I really like it. It's a really physical, really again, you keep the head out of it. Obviously with no helmets, which is good, but you still getting slammed to the ground with no helmet on, and like the hits are significant. I mean, I like it a lot. I still I don't know all the scoring stuff. Every once in a while they'll do something, or like the other players like yes, and I'm like, wait, why is that good? That's good. Why did we kick it right there? We were running and we kicked it. I mean, there's some things that there's a lot to learn, but Brennan has learned it. He loves it, and it's a lot of fun.
State champions.
Yeah.
That's how it's done. Right
there we go.
Way to go.
Got a nice trophy, nice, we got little medals, and
Sweet.
earned, not like a trophy for everyone. You actually earned it by winning a championship.
Wasn't one of those participation trophies,
That's
baby.
right.
Got it done because of the win. Ian Safar, happy Monday. What's going on?
Hello. I'm doing great. Thanks. Hope everybody had a nice, relaxing, celebrating Mother's Day. To all the moms out there, hope it was good for everybody. Ready to get the week rolling.
Absolutely. Are you a big rugby guy, Ian? You've ever seen any rugby?
I mean, I've seen it, but can't say I'm a big rugby guy now.
I've seen it, and then I moved on.
I might have to see Dr. Crane, maybe Nick Frazier.
Frazier loves it.
Yeah, he's a rugby guy. Maybe I could get him to spill some intel.
Yeah, actually, that's a good idea. I probably should.
Pick his brain.
Pick his brain a little bit.
Yeah, he'd probably give you a good tutorial at some point.
He goes to like conventions.
Yeah, he went to Vegas to like the actual league to watch the games. Match game.
So real quick, after our game, we had the medal ceremony and all that stuff, but then on the field there was like it was a Nashville men's team against this team from like Scotland or something.
Okay.
And let me tell you, these
I'm sure that went well. Yeah.
These motherfuckers, oh my God.
You make me so nervous every time you do that.
I mean, there were some interesting dudes from overseas and then one of the officials was like, if you stay and watch this, it's not going to be pretty for the Nashville team. Let me tell you something. And then they had a bagpiper playing right before the match. Like, and they're all like, I'm like, oh, they're going to get absolutely destroyed by these guys.
That's when you know you're in serious trouble, man. Like, I feel like if you play that sport at a high level, you got to be a little crazy. Like, you got to be a little bit nuts.
And
out there.
Some of these dudes were, and some of their mouths of teeth were really interesting.
This is by far the most rugby talk we've ever had on the show. It's awesome.
Yeah, like that. I'm with you. I think if you keep playing this as old as some of these guys I just saw were, and you must really
a little bit off your rocker.
Love getting hit and hitting, like maybe a little too much.
By the way, we're 5 minutes into the show.
Rugby.
We already have an Ellerby Sucks on the YouTube
channel.
Glenn Ellerby, Tennessee offensive line coach, is taking some heat
Hey,
on the YouTube chat recently.
who is that? Who does that? All
Brandon.
Brandon.
Yeah, Brandon.
Yeah. Well, I last week I was like at one of those days last week. I'm like, wait a minute, we haven't had an LRB sucks thing on there yet.
We got to it early.
Got to it right away.
We got a lot to get into on the program here today. Corey Curtis from News 2 will be with us at 8 o'clock. We will get into the Titans and their mini camp opening up and all those things with Corey Curtis later in the program. Tennessee and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt takes the weekend series at Tennessee and got a little spicy to end that series yesterday. We'll get into that later in the program as well. Take your thoughts on all that. 615-737-1025, our phone number. 615-737-1025. Joe, I want to start on the Titans and throw this basic question out there. And my question is this. What this time of year can we buy and what can we not buy this time of year? And I will, for the purposes of this conversation, extend, quote, this time of year out until basically training camp. Like I said, let's basically extend it out that far because, like, I mean, I knew this would happen. It happens every year, and I think it's highlighted a little bit more when you get a number 1 overall pick that's a quarterback coming in. But the Titans and their rookies took the field this weekend, and it was kind of a different style of setup, as Brian Callahan talked about. You know, there weren't really 7-on-7 drills. It was more kind of instructional based on here's why we're doing what we're doing. Here's some fundamental things that we want you to work on, kind of those type of things. But, I mean, you know, Cam Ward's dropping back and letting a few rip out there. He finds Restrepo over the middle, and I saw Titans fans like, wow, Restrepo looks a lot faster than that 40 time. And I was like, you could tell that of like a 5-second clip? Okay. All right. So there's a lot of that going on out there. And I'm just wondering, when it comes to the Tennessee Titans, knowing that we have spent a lot of time on this program in particular, talking about things in the offseason and training camp and what's real and what's not real when it comes to training camp. How do you view this time of year in terms of the takeaways and the proclamations that fans can make based on what they see? Because I find it to be very, very limiting this time of year.
Yeah, I think you can always find examples of things you saw, and it's like, oh yeah, see, you could see it from the start. Like, I mean, like AJ Brown looked good right away. You know, it was like, dang. I mean, it shouldn't have been a surprise. Anybody watching Ole Miss knew he was good. He looked good right away. I remember I think it does get a little bit more reliable as we go later. I mean, once you get into camp and you actually play a little bit, right? You actually have some scrimmaging. You have more 7-on-7. You have everybody there. Obviously, we just came off rookie camp, so that's very, very limited. But I remember the first, obviously it wasn't this weekend, but it would have been like the first OTA, you know, not mandatory, when Julio Jones had just signed. So I'm trying to think, though. He signed in the maybe I don't know. It was one of those things. It wasn't camp. It was pre-camp. So it was like maybe it was a mini camp because he signed right around the end of May, I want to say. Or the trade happened around the end of May, I think.
Julio, June 6th.
June the 6th.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. So it would have been one of those last mini camps then. But I just remember he absolutely was crushing people out there. Yeah. You know, he was carving people up. I know I wrote something. Let's see. What was that, the Tennessee or the Athletic then?
I believe you're at the Athletic.
I was at the Athletic already. Anyway, I just remember being like, oh, my God, look at this guy, you know, and writing about it, and everybody's going nuts. And, I mean, look, that's how good he was. He was good, but then it didn't obviously pay off. Now, some of that is injury, but still, at least that's a proven player, so you also know he can play in the league. Problem is you get a lot of guys out there. I feel like every year there's a tight end, like a UDFA tight end or something, who looks awesome, and then it's like, yeah, but that guy's not playing. You know, there's stuff like that. And, you know, look, as we go, we'll see some pass rushing drills, and then it'll come down to, well, is this guy burning this tackle because, you know, the Arden Key and Andre Dillard, right? Stuff like that. But a lot of it is just, it's puffery, man.
By the way, I don't know if we can get too much farther in the show without congratulating the San Francisco 49ers.
Amazing.
On their double signing of Andre Dillard and Nicholas Petit-Frere. What a day for the Niners.
I mean, are they a package deal or something?
I'm
only coming if I can bring NPF with me.
I did think, I was like, Brock Purdy, you better just go ahead and get that contract signed in a hurry. Like, get that thing signed, son.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Nice. We are a left-right combo. We
Rock.
go together like peanut butter and jelly.
You better really hope that those guys never see the field out there, that they're just extreme level backups.
Or if it's at the same time, though, that's where the
God.
magic really happens.
Can you imagine both those guys at the same time? You just drop back to pass, and it's like, oh, God. Every member of the defense is in the backfield simultaneously. How did that happen?
It's like the longest yard, but not with an intent to throw the ball at the groin.
I didn't mean to get a sidetrack there, but I couldn't go much further into the show without bringing up the fact that those two signed at the same time with the same place.
That is truly incredible.
Like, what's Kyle Shanahan doing? You got to look
Yeah.
at the film and be like, no thanks.
Kyle Shanahan's too good for game film now. He likes, this guy sounds good. He played at Ohio State. He's big. Let's go.
Yeah. He's
a good fantasy football analyst. Let's go.
This other guy was a former first-round pick. How about that?
Yeah, see? I liked him at Washington State, says Kyle Shanahan, who hasn't watched film since then.
Way to go, San Francisco. Hope that, people were tweeting after that. Like, of course, they'll go there and be good. I was like, I don't think so, guys. Like,
so.
Andre Dillard has been in several places at this
Just
point.
another classic of all these coaches. Like, I can fix him.
Yeah, I can.
Don't worry,
Yeah,
I can fix him. It's like, well, it's been at multiple teams with Bill Callahan here, and like.
Well, by the way, he was with Jeff Stoutland before. Those are like the top two line coaches in the league.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah, I saw some Titans fans like, well, they'll probably figure it out there. I'm like, I don't think they will. I don't think that's going to happen.
But I'm here for it.
Yes.
And good for them.
Way to go. Way to continue getting jobs in the National Football League. 615-737-1025, our phone number. Rexrode already into the show about making our listeners almost cut themselves, making PB&J sandwiches when he was about to drop certain words on the air. So there's that.
Yeah, you thought we were farted, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought we're in big trouble. We're in big trouble. We got a lot to get into on the Titans front. What can we believe? What can we not believe? What's real? What's not this time of year as it relates to the Titans and takeaways that you can make? And I've got a stance on that I want to get to coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Cam, when it comes to establishing yourself as a leader, is that something you consciously think about, or is that more of maybe being a byproduct of kind of who you are?
I don't think about it. It just comes with the territory, honestly. But I want to be a leader. I want to be there for my teammates when everything goes down. I want to be the person to lift everybody back up. And so I'm surrounded by a great group of guys. And then I'm only one job. I have one job to do. That's play quarterback. Everybody else had a lot of other jobs.
That's Cam Ward over the weekend. Joe, I found myself watching the Cam Ward press conference the other day, and once again coming away with, I really like this kid. Hope he's really good. Really like this kid. He says a lot of the right things and a lot of things that make me think he gets it. Now, we'll see if he can put it together on the field and go from there.
I agree. He's I really like his approach. I think that he absolutely will have a team rally around him if he's good.
Yes, and that's going to be what we're going to determine over the next little bit here.
That's the big thing.
Whether or not he's good. So my thoughts on what you can take away and what you can't this time of year. You brought it up. Like we've had examples kind of both, right? Like it was pretty clear that early on AJ Brown was pretty good. And it's like, wow, okay, this kid might make a difference for them pretty quickly in the lineup here. And then there's, it was a different path early in his career. But how many times have we seen Treylon Burks go out there in camp and look like a pretty good player? And then by the time the actual games come around, either he can't stay healthy or he just doesn't do anything when he's out there. So,
but I will say his very first time out pretty much told us what was going to happen in his career,
that's
right?
True. Yeah, exactly. So I'm not saying that there's nothing you take away this time of year. Like, apparently Restrepo had a pretty good day the other day. Good. And we'll get into him here in a few minutes because Titans fans have gravitated toward this guy. So we'll see what that's going to mean here coming up. But that's good. Like it's not a bad thing when players look good at practice or look good in camp. I just would caution people to have any grand takeaways and or proclamations. And I know that I've talked about this before. This happens in this sport, I think more so than any other sport, where we spend so much time talking about like practice because we only get such amount of there's only a certain amount of games, be it college football or pro football, that we're actually looking at every year. So the game time is pretty limited. And that's ultimately the only thing that matters. And people love football and they want more football and they want to talk about football. So I get it. That's why we're sitting here and, 3 weeks into training camp when I want to pull the hair that I don't have out of the top of my head because we're talking about practice so much. I get it. People love football. But sometimes I think that leads to wild overreactions one way or the other when it comes to practicing.
Yeah, like there's just no other sport that we really care about practice that much, which is good.
Yeah, it's great. Care about the games.
And unfortunately for this one, we have a lot of practice to watch and talk about. But yeah, there are things, there are things you see. I mean, this last weekend is the least valuable because it's only rookies anyway.
Correct.
But like Oladejo, okay. Hey, I liked his interviews too. There's all this stuff about his energy. I mean, I'm a big fan of, all the beat writers for the Titans are all good. I really like TD's. I look forward to his videos. He cuts up the videos in his Twitter recaps and likes the energy of Oladejo. So that's good. Now, does that mean he will ever get by an NFL tackle as a rookie? I have no clue. But it's better than, man, this guy really seems to lack energy.
Yes, for sure. Like even, Charles brought up the Jayden Daniels story with us, right? And I remember some of the conversation around him when his career started last year in the preseason and training camp was going. And yeah, of course, there was some of the, and Jayden Daniels looks pretty good in camp. And then, that story that Charles has told us a couple of times of making a check in a game and throwing a go ball. And that's when people were like, oh, man, good gracious, this kid's going to be pretty good. Like we're a long way from that point now. We got a lot of practices to get through before we get to preseason games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just, it's like, again, I like TD's video cut up. I'm watching Cam throw the ball. It's like, okay, he looks like he's a guy who can throw a football.
Yeah,
he does,
which is good to know after you took him number one overall.
That should be a prerequisite for quarterback. I mean, I was trying to look. Boy, is that a little bit too sidearmed on that one when he rolled to the right? Did he need to sidearm it that much? I mean, you really get into the nitty gritty. It makes me almost want to do what Gopher suggested, which is talk about the Milwaukee Admirals. Not quite though.
Not quite there yet. We're saving that for later. I got one texter that says, we Titans fans always latch on to a late round pick or an undrafted free agent wide receiver every year without fail.
But again, like I promise you, it's not Titans. It's not just Titans. It's every market.
Oh yeah,
it's every market because there's always talented kids who go undrafted who will come into especially a rookie camp when there's all kinds of reps available and be like, ooh, okay. And of course, everybody was already pre-excited about this one.
Yeah.
So yes, that does happen, and sometimes it pans out. And sometimes you get a career practice squatter like Mason Kinsey, who, by the way, when he's had an opportunity to go in there, he's okay.
He's been fine.
Yeah. But maybe not quite what some thought at various points in preseasons when he was lighting it up.
Ed says, no proclamation, but I like TD's report that Ward called Io Manor back to do a route again because he didn't like the way he ran it. It's a small thing, but I like to see that from any quarterback. It's from Ed on the text line. So let's get into the receivers here because there was a lot of conversation about Restrepo over the weekend, and we'll get more into that here in just a few minutes. But you do have some rookies coming in that are going to have to play big roles with this group based on where they're at right now. Now, Ridley's wide receiver 1. I would assume Lockett's wide receiver 2 at this point, and it looks like he's primarily going to play from the slot. But beyond that, you're going to have a lot of young guys. And if you want to throw Bryce Oliver in the mix, I guess you can. You can throw Bryce Oliver into the mix. Van Jefferson's out there. We'll see exactly what sort of role he carves out for himself as time goes on here. But you're going to have to see Io Manor and DK come in and play big roles for this team and play significant time. So I'm with Ed. I like to see Cam Ward taking charge out there. Like, those are things to me beyond practice reps, like those that I take more from that than I do whether or not Cam Ward was perfectly accurate in a practice on May the 10th or whatever it is. Like those type of things I do think mean something as you move forward.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a good thing. Absolutely. Did you saying that really confidently? Did anybody ask him to say his name out
I
loud?
didn't see anybody ask him, but I'm pretty sure it's Io Manor.
Io Manor.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what the pronunciation guide says, baby.
I didn't hear that asked at the presser the other day.
Yeah, that
like
would
say your name.
I
or
feel
anything.
like that's like
They got into his
Johnny
background.
G. Maybe?
Yeah, they got into it with the hockey and they went into the whole
did.
thing, but nothing.
President may need to take a look.
Yeah, it's worth a question there. But Io Manor, good, because at one point we thought it was Io Manor, right?
I don't think so.
Iomanor. People were saying
Iomanor
something like
is what it
that.
is.
Oh, there we go.
Pretty sure it's Io Manor.
Io Manor. Nice. But I agree with you.
Thank you.
Yes. To your point, sorry about that. I just always want to make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah.
I mean, Pete Weber so calls UC Saros.
He does.
Like, we just
Skiatica.
sometimes we never get on the same page. But leadership is good. And
Good
so
point.
Cam Ward is I have no doubt that he will he will be good in that way. Got to be good on the field. Did you go to Texas Roadhouse Thursday? Because someone said you broke the record for rolls eaten.
Bro, I was in Texas Roadhouse Thursday. I don't know if I broke the record, but I got in some rolls out there.
I hate the free ad, but since we've already done it, those rolls are freaking great.
Cinnamon butter's
Oh,
unbelievable.
it's
My daughter was in there and she just was like, oh my gosh, these rolls. He just kept eating them all. And I was like, I'll help you. Sure. Why not? Get in there. Matter of fact, I knew we were going that night. So I basically just didn't eat anything all day to prepare myself.
Oh, that's good.
That's how it went.
Fast until the
Yeah,
cinnamon
it's like,
cinnamon
There's
butter
cinnamon butter rolls.
gorging.
And then I got this enormous steak. I was like, all right, really just ruining everything I did today. Cool. Good stuff.
Hey, man, you earned it.
Appreciate you looking out, JC. 615-737-1025. Our phone number, 615-737-1025. We're like the dog from Up this morning on the show so far. Hey, squirrel! There we go. We'll continue the conversation on the
Grab bag.
Titans coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063 The Game. Welcome back in. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, brought to you by First Horizon. Big bank muscle, small bank hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get it all. Taking your thoughts on the Titans at 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. We will get into Vanderbilt's weekend series win against Tennessee coming up here in a few minutes. So taking your thoughts on that as well. A little bit of a skirmish, kind of, sort of, not really, to end the game yesterday. So I'm shocked.
A lot of talking.
Shocked that Tennessee and Vanderbilt got a little spicy out there.
Yeah.
Seems to happen quite a bit. We'll
Yeah,
get into
it
that
does.
coming up here in just a few minutes. Taking your thoughts on the Titans and the wide receiving front. Xavier Restrepo getting a lot of pub over the weekend as it relates to some of the questions at Brian Callahan's press conference. A lot of Titans fans reacting to clips that they saw from Restrepo. And Brian Callahan was asked about just this opportunity for Restrepo that's in front of him now as he goes undrafted, and how much the 40 time was in play as they were kind of looking at him as well. Here's what Brian Callahan had to say over the weekend.
Restrepo out of your wide receiver group.
You know, Xavier's been a really productive college player. I mean, you look at all the names of receivers that have played at the University of Miami, and he's at the top, which is impressive. He might not necessarily be the biggest or the fastest player that's probably ever come out of Miami, but he's been incredibly productive, and he's found ways to play football the right way. So he'll start out as a slot player for us, and he'll have every chance to compete just like everybody else will. But you look at his production and what he's done as a football player, and he puts himself in pretty good position to be competitive. And even though he didn't run the fastest time in the world, I'm excited to see what he can do.
So the 40 time wasn't that big a deal for you guys?
I mean, it all matters. Yeah, I mean, it matters. But I think you see the football player and you see the speed that he plays with when he plays. I wouldn't have thought that would have been the time that he ran. But you know, that's how you go from a potential draft pick to being an undrafted free agent at the end of the day. And he's got a lot to prove, and I'm excited to see him do it.
So that was Brian Callahan over the weekend on Restrepo. What did you make of those comments there? And as we kind of dive into this, we just talked about the opportunity for some young guys at wide receiver in this room, given what's not in there right now. How does that factor in for Restrepo in your mind as well?
Well, first of all, what Callahan said there, I think, is exactly the right, approach with the 40 times. Does it matter? Sure. Does it blot out the sun? No. And for most people, they can think through that. The guy can play, there's a limitation to what it means that he set the Miami receiving record. I mean, sometimes, he's just there for a long time, and some of these guys, some of their best receivers didn't play full 4 years. They were that good, but still he's productive. I know he's a good player. Anybody who watched Miami play, he's a good player. One thing that stood out to me, he looked thicker to me than he looks big, which again doesn't necessarily speak to speed, doesn't always speak to slot receiver either. But I also thought his feet looked quick, which is the most important part of being a slot receiver. It's short space quickness and getting yourself separation. It is not a straight line 40. The straight line 40 yards is almost basically you everyone's whether it be a slot fade, but I mean, right. That's really not what it is. It's short space quickness with your feet. And that is not calculated by 40 time whatsoever.
It's not. And look, the production is what it is in college, right? I mean, even before Cam Ward got there, the year before Cam Ward arrived, Restrepo had 85 catches for over 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns. And then Ward gets there, and it's 1,100 yards, 11 touchdowns, 69 catches for Restrepo last year. So, obviously, he was incredibly productive there. But it started, even before Ward got there. So, he's a good player. The question, I mean, look, I fully believe that if he just didn't run at his pro day, he probably gets drafted, right? If he just didn't run, he probably ends up drafted.
For anybody who complains about players who don't test, I mean, there's one reason why.
Yeah. I mean, I legitimately believe that. If he didn't run, he probably was going to get drafted. So maybe it's a great thing for the Titans that he ran and that he ends up being an undrafted free agent. I do think people are getting a little bit carried away with him. I think people are they're writing his name in pen, that he's just absolutely on the team and that he's absolutely going to make an impact. And I do think we have to remember that we are talking about an undrafted free agent wide receiver here. So
It is the National Football League.
I do think it's going to be an uphill climb for him to make the team based on where he comes into the organization at. Now, that doesn't mean he can't do it. And it doesn't mean that 2 weeks into training camp, they don't get out there and they say, wow, we can't believe this guy was undrafted and our luck had him falling to us the way that it did. Maybe that it ends up happening that way. But I think some Titans fans think that it's like some guarantee because he went to school with Cam Ward and Cam Ward wanted him in here that he's going to make the team. And I'm not quite willing to go there yet.
No, I wouldn't make that presumption. Now, I've already made the prediction he's going to make it, but we'll see. I'm not I wouldn't put a bunch of money on it. So if you go through, if you figure they keep 6 receivers, obviously you got Ridley, Lockett. I mean, I'll put Jefferson, right now. Then you have the 2 rookies, DK and Manor. Right?
Yeah.
Pretty good. Okay.
Pretty good.
There's 5. Then you have Bryce Oliver would be, if it's 6, is it between Bryce Oliver and Restrepo? Is it between Jefferson and Restrepo? I mean, those guys right now, you would slot those 6 guys, including Bryce Oliver, ahead of him.
I would agree.
I would also say, I mean, really, other than Ridley, I mean, the 2 rookies you drafted, they'd have to be pretty bad. But after those 3, I mean, I think those other 4 could be in any combination. So he has a great opportunity. I mean, I think he has a better opportunity here than most teams.
I would
because
agree.
The Titans don't have they have very little proven. It's either unproven completely or on the wrong side of the timeline. So I think he's got a good chance. I'm predicting he's going to make it. But yeah, this idea that all of a sudden the college buddy is going to come in here and, be Thunder buddies in the NFL is, let's pump the brakes a little bit.
Well, again, it goes back to, he ran. I saw a video over the weekend. And I can't remember if it was the Titans who put it out there or somebody out on the field covering it, but I think it was the Titans. He's running across the middle on air, and it's just Cam Ward makes a 8-yard throw to him, and he catches it in stride, and he keeps going. And like some of the comments on that was like, "Wow, he looks pretty quick out there." And it's like, all right, guys, come on. What do we? I mean, maybe he does. Maybe he does look quick out there. And you heard Brian Callahan in that clip start talking about, when you watch his play speed, you wouldn't think that that's the time that he ran in the 4.8s out there. So I get it. Like, how many times do we see that where guys play faster than they run, like at the combine?
And slower too.
Like that. It's slower too.
That happens the other way.
It does happen the other way. So again, I'm not saying that there's not meaning behind all that. I'm just like, I went through I think it was a 5-minute span the other day, Joe, where I jumped on Twitter and I saw that stuff about Restrepo. And then somehow like Luther Burden clips from Chicago came across my screen. And some Bears fans are like, well, good grief. This guy is unbelievable. He might be wide receiver 1 in the league right now. All right. Time for me to log off for the day.
Yeah. Well, you can count on that from Bears
NFL
fans.
offseason mini camp takeaways. All right, cool.
Bears win the offseason every year. They are spring champs every year. Mo points out that I didn't even mention Traylon Burks. I mean, I should have mentioned him. Yeah, it's a fair point.
I don't think he's going to make the team.
Yeah, I mean, he should be mentioning that though. So let's make that part. Let's make that an 8-man situation. Who knows?
If he's able to play.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously he's
camp.
still recovering right now and all that stuff. I'd put him at doubtful for being on this team, but it's possible. I mean, look, you don't know how things are going to go. But pretty good opportunity. Again, I think compared to if you're a Restrepo, I'm sure it's like, oh yeah, I'd love to go play with Cam Ward. But also it's like if you're his age, it's like, yeah, that plays, they need receivers. Well, I don't care who's throwing the ball.
Yeah, if you're looking around the league right now, like as an undrafted free agent going to play wide receiver, I mean, this is probably as good a spot as any in the league right now. So there is that part of it as well. I mean, then just, how good, I mean, look, DK and Man are going to make the team. Right. So there's 2 right there that are going to make the team. Unless, I mean,
yeah, you would think.
I understand, 4th round pick is not a 2nd round pick. So I get that. And, it's not like we've not seen receivers taken in the 4th round that come in here and do nothing. Des Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
So
but even he was around for a couple of years.
Right. So there's opportunity here for Restrepo to come in and make an impact. Just can he do it? Like, is this truly a situation where the Titans are fortunate that he slid the way he did, or is he an undrafted free agent for a reason? We're going to find out.
But I'll say right now, no matter how it turns out, it's a good signing.
Yeah,
a
I mean,
good signing.
it's worth. I mean, there's no risk to it if you're the Titans. It's worth bringing him in.
And I could almost guarantee. It's not. I can't pretend that I know, but I can almost guarantee that there's a lot of teams that would have liked to sign him.
Yeah,
that production does mean something.
Let's head back to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Jeff to the program. Jeff, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you today?
Doing good.
Great.
Hey, I think Restrepo is a great signing because I think that, and I'm old enough to know, Drew Pearson from the Cowboys went undrafted. Antonio Gates, great tight end, went undrafted. And Welker went undrafted. So I really think Restrepo, if he does what he needs to do, he's going to be around for 8 to 10 years. Your thoughts, and I'll let you go, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. I mean, we have seen it happen in the league before. Look, Joe, frankly, we have seen it with this franchise before. Now, it's a very different situation, both from where the team was and the way that this guy plays. But, I mean, Drew Bennett was undrafted, and he came in here and played very well at wide receiver.
He did. He helped my fantasy team that year that he kind of hit the scene. I hit the waiver wire quickly on that one.
Yeah.
No, it happens. Absolutely. I mean, Jeff sounded like he might have been drifted a little bit toward the, oh my God, did you see that amazing play on one tweet? But again, it's I think it was a good signing, and I think there's some promise there. As Mark from Exeter City points out, he says that he consistently timed at between 4.53 and 4.58. Look, he ran what he ran, and I think he probably is drafted without that. So maybe it ends up being a little bonus for the Titans.
615-737-1025, our phone number. We got a lot more of your thoughts to get to on the Titans front. We will do that coming up next. We'll get into Vanderbilt's weekend series win against Tennessee coming up in the 7 o'clock hour as well. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. The 615 Open Charity Golf Tournament benefiting Folds of Honor presented by Gary Force Acura coming up at Hermitage Golf Course on Thursday, May 29th. You could sign up to play or sponsor at 615open.com. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode. Joe, the schedule release is trickling out over the next couple of days here, apparently. We know the season opener now.
Oh, we do?
We do. It will be the Philadelphia Eagles hosting the Dallas Cowboys to open the season on Thursday, September 4th. Eagles, Cowboys, the debut of George Pickens.
Pickens back in Pennsylvania to start it off. Okay.
How about that?
That's a good one. I mean, I guess I was hoping for a little more. I mean, that is the Super Bowl champ, but a little more, maybe someone better than the Cowboys, but that's okay. It's a rivalry.
It is. We'll see. I'm sure it'll go well for Dallas.
Yeah.
Get the season off to a nice start.
Yeah, like I like that game better if it's in Dallas too. You know, maybe give them a little better chance. But we'll see.
They can't do it though. When you win the Super Bowl, you're going to get that opening home game. They're going to get it.
So I made a reference to Thunder Buddies. Ed, you got to watch. I mean, you got to watch the movie Ted, man. You've never seen Ted?
By the way, just full disclosure, it is an R-rated movie. And it's not about a child and his teddy bear.
Yeah, that's
As
true.
some people would apparently who went into theater did not know.
That's a good disclaimer.
Yeah.
Parents, yes, have use discretion.
Wait a minute. I thought this movie was about a kid and his teddy bear. It's like, well,
what is that cute teddy bear doing with that liquid soap? Oh my God. Yeah. Use discretion.
took an incredible turn in here.
Speaking of which, you know, we've talked about the story. This happened at Comerica Park several years ago. The Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Yeah.
Where the dad was like, oh, yeah, here, 7-year-old daughter, have some Mike's Hard Lemonade. It's like, dude, it's called Mike's Hard Lemonade. Like, there's alcohol in it.
Right.
And we get, like, arrested.
It's not a
But
lemonade
this rugby
stand.
championship the other day was like this lemonade stand, but it said, like, get smashed lemonade.
Really?
And I'm like, wait, are they selling, like, booze here? I mean, I guess but I think it was just like the smashing.
Rexrode's eyes lit up.
Yeah.
Like, great.
All
What's
right.
that over there?
I mean, some of the parents rooting for the other team were really pounding some beers. I'm just saying. But apparently the smash is just like smashing a real lemon.
Okay.
That's a very weird
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that.
branding decision, though. You know what I mean? Very weird. Again, we're like a dog. We're like the dogging up. Yeah.
That's what we're doing today.
Yeah.
Skylar on the text line says the Titans have sucked so bad that certain Titans fans want something to cheer for so bad. An undrafted wide receiver on the Titans is going to the Hall of Fame, apparently. It's from Skylar on the text line.
It's the time of year. And it's the state of the franchise.
George
both
from
together.
Murfreesboro says there's just something romantic about watching NFL rookies run cone drills and practice routes in their shorts. It's from George. It really is incredible. It's like the only sport we do this over.
Yeah. No, it's nauseating at times. William from Madison says, I actually agreed with Stillman. I love when people have to say that. Hey, guys, at one time in my life, I actually agreed with Stillman. I know I feel shame. And I feel dirty, but I did. He says, why are the Titans showing highlights of Restrepo and not the wide receivers they drafted? Did they show a bunch of Restrepo? I didn't look through every one of the Titans official tweets.
Vingan sent us Jared's tweet from over the weekend, which, by the way, I think Jared's on vacation, so I would encourage him to be on vacation and put the Twitter machine down.
Have you muted him too? Why did you need to get it sent?
I didn't spend a whole lot of time on Twitter over the weekend.
Okay.
Because when I did,
you muted
I
him.
logged on. It was like, oh my God, people are freaking out about Restrepo, and Bears fans think Luther Burden is the best player in the league. All right, cool. But this was Jared's tweet from over the weekend. Why does Titans Twitter want Xavier Restrepo to be a star? You drafted 2 rookie wide receivers who actually run. You should be cheering for them. Restrepo can't play outside or do anything meaningful on special teams. Who cares that he's Cam Ward's buddy? Cam can get new, better ones. This is from Jared over the weekend, to which I believe Paul Kuharski liked that tweet. And the reason I know Paul Kuharski liked that tweet is because Jared sent me a screenshot of Paul Kuharski.
I was going to say, you don't know who likes tweets anymore. You can't.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was real proud of himself. He's like,
look at here. PK liked my tweet.
PK liked my tweet. It must be a good one. So actually, I kind of agree with that. So William's kind of wrong here. So it's not the Titans. It's Jared's complaining about the fan base fawning over Restrepo.
Yes, but
Titans,
I mean, the
Titans Twitter means
I think
means
the Titans
the Titans
did put out
fans.
some clips there. Yes,
But they
yeah.
must have put out clips of the rookies, right?
I guess I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
I mean, I think there's a fair point there. There's probably more talk of Restrepo than the two guys who are critically important.
Yeah.
I think Restrepo has a good chance to make the team. And I think he's got a guy who could be a good reserve and in a pinch could come in and help you. And maybe someday he's a guy who is a productive, can have a role. But those two guys, you need them to be, even though they're not high picks, with this team and given where they play, you need them to be significant players. You need them to.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, they're making the team. And they should not only make the team, they should be in the playing rotation this year.
They're going to have to be.
So it is. I think it's actually a fair point. So if I hadn't muted him, I'd like it too. The Restrepo stuff it's a little bit. Yeah, good job, buddy. It's a little bit overblown, but I also understand it because if you watch college football, he was a very fun, very productive player, and big yards per catch for what he is and for what he supposedly lacks in terms of speed. He made a lot of big plays, and obviously he made them with Cam Ward. So there's a natural excitement there.
Well, again, people are making also a huge deal of Ward apparently telling the Titans, hey, go get this guy. It's like, okay, well, I think he would have, Ward talked about it. He's been kind of talking about that with every team that he met with throughout the draft process of, yeah, you need to go get Restrepo. He's really good. So it's not a surprise that he did that. I don't think the Titans are going to keep Restrepo around just because Cam Ward's here. He better go out and prove it in camp or he's not going to be here. And I think he's going to have to prove it to maybe a higher degree than most because he's an undrafted free agent.
Right.
That's how it works in this league.
And as we've discussed, once we get into camp, most of those passes aren't coming from Cam Ward to him. He's going to be down with the lower guys in the totem pole and the 2s and the 3s.
Exactly. 615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. A spicy series between Vanderbilt and Tennessee over the weekend. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063, the game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, brought to you by First Horizon, Big Bank Muscle, Small Bank Hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get it all. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Monday morning. Joe, an intense series between Tennessee and Vanderbilt on the college baseball front over the weekend. Getting close to that time of year, close to tournament time as we're in the middle of May now. So getting close to tournament baseball again, the SEC tournament. Before you know it, the NCAA tournament will be here around the corner, and we'll go from there. But a big one specifically for Tennessee this weekend. They had been struggling and really needed to come away with a series win here against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt with an opportunity heading into the weekend to really make a statement against their rival. And that's exactly what they do. So Tennessee wins the first game on Friday, and then Vanderbilt follows it up with 2 wins on Saturday, and then on Sunday, after a significant weather delay, they get the job done as well. What about the statement made from Vanderbilt against their rival over the weekend?
Yeah, well, I believe so. They finally got a win in the third game last year in Nashville, which was their first in a while. Then they beat them in the SEC tournament. So I want to say that's 4 out of 5 now. Vanderbilt's won against Tennessee after, Tennessee flipped it and seemed to be it was almost like the Roadrunner Wile E. Coyote for a little bit between these programs. Big deal for Vanderbilt. It's tough for Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee now, losing all these series at home. You're just not used to seeing that. And, Liam Doyle is incredible. I mean, their Friday starter who they got from Ole Miss, who is now maybe the top pick. I mean, he lefty with just absurd stuff coming into his own. So every Friday you feel good about the Vols' chances, but they've got a good team. I do think they were a little bit inflated early in the season with maybe the schedule wasn't great, and we thought maybe a little bit too much of them. Obviously they lost some great players from last year's team, and they have a lot of good pitching depth, but it's just, I think, one thing for them that is a big problem that Vanderbilt took huge advantage of is just letting people run all over them. I mean, they just they got some pitchers who struggle with that. They're not, they're not great behind the plate in that way. And Vanderbilt has a lot of guys who can run, and they really cause problems. And then Vanderbilt was going yard yesterday. It was a great game, great series. So I think, right now, I mean, Vanderbilt putting themselves in a pretty good position to host, and Tennessee's got a real potential issue there.
Do you think one, both, or neither of these teams are national championship contenders this year?
Well, it's like they're in this league. I think everybody in the top half of the SEC has to be considered a contender to do it. It's just so stacked. It's so ridiculous how good this league is. And week after week, and right now, obviously Texas and Arkansas, those teams look stronger, but I look at both these teams and I could see it coming together for them. I think there's enough pitching, there are enough arms on these teams. And, Vanderbilt, they've answered to some extent the power issue they had the last couple of years. It's still not great, but I like their team. They play great defense. That's a thing we never talk about in baseball, but it's such a big part of the game, and they're great at it. So I think either of them could get hot and make a run. I don't think either of them have the team that you look at right now and say, oh, you put them down for
They're
Omaha.
not juggernauts, for sure.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I think that's clear, but I'm with you. Like, I think in this league, if you're in the top half, and we've seen it, I think, at different points with both of these teams, that they can play with anybody. So can you put it together come tournament time? That's the thing. Now, Tennessee's reeling a little bit right now. And Tennessee, for a significant portion of this year was the number 1 team in the country. And it looked like, the factory basically that Tony Vitello has just put out there the last few years was right in line again. And they were going to march their way through the season again and end up as one of the top seeds in the NCAA tournament. And we know now that that's just not going to be the case. Now, that doesn't mean they still can't make a run and they can't get to Omaha, but they are reeling right now. So if you're a Tennessee fan, your concern level by what you've seen from this team, not only against Vanderbilt, but recently with the series in the SEC not going their way as of late.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little, they're in their heads a little bit. And I think, I watched Tony V's presser, always some very interesting asides that he goes into, some tangents he goes on, but trying to find confidence, trying to find the right combination, using a lot of different players. They got some young guys that I think maybe could play more right now at this point. Defense has been a big problem for them. They, like, a lot of these losses and series losses have come down to a critical error, and again, it's like that part of the game is a big deal. So it's weird. It's almost like, they need like they've done some good things away from home. Get them out of that park. It's obviously tailor made for them typically year after year, but maybe they just need to get away from that and get on the road. And again, I think they've got the talent to be a problem in the next month.
I asked you on Friday if Tony Vitello was going to get run from a game this weekend. He didn't. I thought he was on his way Friday though. Like there's a nice tight shot in the dugout, and he was just giving it to the umpire, and I was like, "Good Lord, it's Friday. He's about to get run out here again." He didn't, but it was close.
Yeah, and then yesterday you had the whatever the heck happened after the game.
Yeah,
but Vitello called it overrated. Yeah, it was basically, it looked like some trash talk from the Vanderbilt kids as they're celebrating on the field, looking into the dugout.
which, by the way, I have no problem with.
Yeah, it's Hunter Ensley took exception with it, and then there was some it appeared to be very amicable conversations between Vitello and Corbin. And Vitello was talking to Scott Brown. I mean, he told Scott Brown his life story, and the camera's up. I'm like, he's still talking. What is he saying? What is he telling him?
Is this a speech?
And then they shook hands. They shook hands afterwards. So I think so at least it was nice and friendly from the coach. I mean, we love that stuff, right? I mean, it's a rivalry, and they do not like each other at all. And I know the Vanderbilt. Then when they left field, they're like, "Oh yeah," to the crowd, and the crowd's booing them. It's like, hey man, to the victor go the spoils.
I love the Tennessee Vanderbilt baseball rivalry. I really do. And look, obviously, Tennessee wins the national championship last year. They've had an incredible run of success here under Vitello. We know the program that Corbin has built over the last couple of decades here. So it's an established long run of success for Vanderbilt. But frankly, college baseball to me, and I can't speak for everybody, but to me, I still kind of view it through the lens of, all right, you can really, really talk to me about college baseball when tournament time comes around. That's really where I'm at. And I think, frankly, that's where most people are at when it comes to college baseball. But number one, Vanderbilt's always had a really good fan base in baseball. Tennessee has built a really, really strong fan base in baseball now with Vitello. And every time they play, it's just a lot of fun. Whether it's in April, it's in May, it's a lot of fun. I am all for Tennessee Vanderbilt baseball rivalry. And for the rivalry's sake, the way it's gone the last couple of years, Vanderbilt getting on a little bit of a run here against Tennessee, I think is a good thing. And Vanderbilt fans certainly enjoyed it over the weekend.
No doubt. Yeah. Yeah. It's anytime you can get really good teams in a sport between those two schools, I think it's great. In-state rivalries are just different. I think in men's and women's basketball, we got real potential here moving forward too. But obviously baseball you're talking about programs that can win championships, that have won championships. So that means something different. By the way, Corbin going with Ethan McIlvain, and he got into a little bit of trouble, but he got it done. And that's a big time development for Vanderbilt too. And he went to high school where?
You in Nolensville?
United.
Look at there.
Got another McIlvain coming up too. To Vandy,
a lot of McIlvain's going on.
Yes, it's a pipeline.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. A surprise move in the NFL over the weekend that has me wondering what's going to happen at this spot here. We'll get into that coming up next. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
How did he come to this decision?
Yeah, Hannah, really for the last 5 to 6 weeks, the Saints and Derek Carr have been trying to figure out what's best and how to proceed with this shoulder issue, which tests revealed, as the Saints just said, a labral tear and degenerative damage to his rotator cuff, potentially. So these are major issues. You imagine trying to throw on that. So really before then, the feeling was like, hey, we restructured his contract. We can move forward with Derek Carr, even though there was some talk about a potential trade at one point. That never happened. So it seemed at one point in the offseason he was going to be the quarterback in 2025. So really when he started throwing again, then he felt the issue, talked to the Saints, reported it. They tried to shake this out. You know, I think the Saints in a perfect world hoped that he could maybe rehab to health. It just seems like that was not in the cards. So after 11 seasons, he is retired.
That's Jeremy Fowler from ESPN over the weekend. The retirement of Derek Carr announced at age 34. He's done and hanging it up in the world of football. Now, as Fowler points out there, Joe, a labral tear and, quote, significant degenerative changes to his rotator cuff, which does not sound good on the Derek Carr front. So that tells you why the 2025 season was definitely in jeopardy there as it comes to his playing career. And sounds like this is going to be a pretty significant and complicated process if he was going to be able to get back to being able to play at all. And it also sounds like Derek Carr was not overly interested in going through that process. So retiring after 11 seasons in the NFL. Joe, when the offseason began, Carr was among the players that we talked about of potentially being available for the Titans, depending on what the Saints wanted to do. They did not choose to release him, and it looked like they were planning on him being their quarterback. And then as Fowler points out in the audio clip we just played, he started throwing again, and this issue came up. And a few weeks later, he's retired from the NFL. Your thoughts on that announcement from Derek Carr over the weekend, and now where the Saints go from here with Tyler Shuck in the mix. You've got Spencer Rattler in the mix there as well. And, of course, the big thing this did this weekend, Joe, was reignite Saints fans in the tanking for Arch Manning, which is now in full force among Saints fans.
Yep. Take out the starch for Arch or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that would have been there's got to be a Titans fan right now typing into our text line. That would have been the most Titans thing ever.
It would have been.
And they got Derek Carr, and my goodness. So
he can't throw.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, other than that, good pickup. Yeah, the at least the Saints got Shuck, right? I mean, that's so I don't know exactly all the timeline of everybody who knew what when, but you know, he was a good player, Derek Carr. Good player in the league, probably a little bit underrated for what he was. Look, he was he was one of the top QBs in the league about 8 years ago. Actually, it was the year that Todd Downing took over as OC that he nosedived. The year before that, he was tremendous. Good player. And that's just you hope that that guy does not have like pain, like an issue in his regular daily life when you hear degenerative shoulder stuff.
Yeah, it's a scary sounding situation that he's going through. I'm looking at the quarterback room for New Orleans right now. I mean, it's got to be number one, I guess, the youngest quarterback room in the league, and number two, not a great situation there. I mean, look, I think Tyler Shuck probably going to end up being the starter there. They drafted him in the second round. You do have Rattler there and Jake Hayner, who is, I believe, in year 3. So he's the wily veteran in the room right there in year 3 on the roster. But last year, New Orleans 0-7, according to ESPN, in games that Carr did not start. So are they going to maybe take a look around, try to bring in somebody else? Or is this just going to be the Tyler Shuck show? And if it is, and they're as bad as people expect that they might be this year, I mean, they did take him in the second round. Are they just going to go with him moving forward? Or is this going to be one of those situations where, Tyler, thank you for playing. There's Arch Manning or whoever else over there, and we're going to go take him at quarterback.
Yeah, it's a really interesting situation for Shuck. He's on a not very good team. That's a significant draft position. So obviously they like him a lot. You throw him in, and if you don't see everything you want to see, are you immediately going to that? Obviously you got the Saints Archie connection and all that stuff, but I mean, maybe he's good. Maybe they don't need to do that. Maybe I mean, they're probably going to be close to the top of the draft, I would guess, just looking at their team, and it doesn't seem realistic to me. I mean, I would probably guess that, I would guess Rattler starts the opener, and then eventually Shuck takes over, but who knows? They're not going to be a good team. They're going to be up near the top of the draft. Maybe Shuck's pretty good, and you can get other good players. And again, I know this is crazy. Maybe Arch Manning isn't the clear number 1 pick in next year's draft. I know it's crazy to think that a guy who couldn't beat out Quinn Ewers last year, could not beat him out. We know this, right? Does everybody understand this and watch Quinn Ewers play? That he's just guaranteed to be number 1. I'm going to lose my mind until Arch, again, he may be that good. He may be. But everybody just thinks he is for sure, and it just blows my mind.
Real quickly, the money situation for Carson. He was scheduled to make $40 million this season, $30 million in base salary, $10 million in roster bonus. The Saints restructured his contract for cap purposes and turned basically the salary down to league minimum and brought the rest of it into a signing bonus. And he's now paid out kind of the medical part of it, but he is forfeiting $30 million in base salary. He gets the $10 million signing bonus, but forfeiting $30 million in base salary by the decision to retire.
That's tough. That's a loss. Texter asking about Levis. Would the Saints be interested in Levis?
Well,
another young, flawed quarterback. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's, they lost a QB.
Yeah, I mean, look, do I think that he's probably better than Spencer Rattler? Yeah, I'd probably say yes. The problem with their room is he doesn't really change the dynamic of the room from the standpoint of they got 3 young guys in there right now that are their oldest guys, Jake Haener, heading into year 3, and Will Levis would just be that heading into year 3. So do they want to do that? I kind of feel like if they're going to make another move at quarterback, it would be for an older player to maybe guide things there a little bit.
Yeah, that would make sense. But you put them on the list of possible
I'd check into it.
I guess. Sure.
I would definitely check into it. Can you name the according to FanDuel Sportsbook, the top 5 favorites to be the number 1 overall pick next year?
Well, I'm sure Arch is number 1.
He is number 1 at plus 240 odds.
I mean, I'd throw Lenora Sellers in there.
I'll give you a hint. They're all quarterbacks.
Yeah, throw Lenora Sellers in there. Throw Drew Aller in there. Is Klubnik mentioned in there? And there's somebody that I'm totally forgetting, which is terrible to forget. I know.
Nussmeier.
Oh, yeah, Garrett Nussmeier. There you go.
Manning's at 1, Nussmeier is at 2, Aller 3, Sellers 4, Klubnik 5.
Okay. I'm not sure any of them will be good in the NFL, but that's how it goes. But the other ones, not named Arch, have done more.
It's true. Mark from Ashland City says, Shuck is almost the oldest quarterback on the roster. Haener has him by 6 months. And you're talking about a guy that was drafted in the 2nd round that is 25 years old in Tyler Shuck. He'll be 26, I believe, in September. Bit of an older guy coming out of college there.
Yeah, a little Chris Wenke type action. Mr. G thinks we should go planning for Manning. Also, Mr. G and I are both commiserating and very, very sad about our Golden State Warriors. Mike from PA, not beating out Ewers is overrated. Hurts couldn't win his job back from Tua. Joe Burrow had to leave Ohio State. I was thinking Manning's only coming out if he kills it this year. Well, that's another thing. Is he coming out? Like you've said.
He's not.
The plan has seemed to be pretty clear that I also wouldn't say if he does kill it this year, it's he's clearly going to be the number 1 pick. I don't know. I think he'll come out. You don't think so?
No.
No? Wow. Okay. I just don't think he's going to be this overwhelming dominant player that everybody assumes. And that's a fair point, Mike. You're right. Some of these quarterbacks moved on. Joe Burrow couldn't beat out Dwayne Haskins at Ohio State. Yep. That's all fair. But again, it's also why is it this just foregone conclusion is my thing. He's talented. But if he didn't have the last name Manning and he was a 5-star quarterback, Arch Jenkins, who was a 5-star QB, go look at 5-star QBs the last few years in college football. Go look at the rankings. There are guys who are absolutely lost in the shuffle. But Arch Jenkins, it's we'll see. Arch Manning, this is no question.
Ian, do you think there's a
TV prospect?
Do you think there's a bigger combo hater on the planet of Tom Brady and Arch Manning than Joe Rexrode?
He's hate him.
He's at the top of the list.
Probably not. I'm trying to think of one.
I'm his friend. I want him. I want everybody to back off the kid. You know, seriously. Do you think he wants this? Like, oh yeah, you're gonna be the number one pick. Go prove
He's
that you
signing
can.
Red Bull.
Who
Deals.
doesn't
He's
want to
not
be the
worried
number
about
one
that.
pick? Of course he wants to be the number one pick.
But all he's hearing is how it's an absolute. It's just preordained.
He's a Manning. He can handle it, Joe.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see.
Never seen
It's a
bigger-
mentality. It's a Manning. It's a mental like
A
you know.
mentality.
I
Hey,
guess so.
do you
Sure.
think,
I don't know about
Manningtality?
that, but yeah.
You think Brady's going to mentor him too, like he did with Shador?
And then be like, yeah, don't pick this guy, guys. Anything but this guy.
Dude, no matter what you do, stay away from Arch Manning.
Tom, why didn't the Reds? Hey, have I ever told you guys about media? Media is a real problem in society today. We should be making friends and coming up with solutions in media.
See, there he goes. He's just
Shut up.
ripping Brady and Arch Manning left and right.
You know I'm right.
615-737-1025, our phone number. We'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up at 7:45. Corey Curtis from News 2 will join us at 8 o'clock. We'll get his thoughts on all things Titans. We will get back into the Titans coming up next as well. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063, The Game. Nashville's best deal of the week is Bavarian Beer House, conveniently located at Opry Mills Mall. Enjoy beer, food, music, and fun in Nashville's only authentic German beer hall, where it's Oktoberfest every single day. Head to theGameNashville.com/deals to get a $50 gift card for only $25 to Bavarian Beer House while supplies last. Robby and Rexrode brought to you by First Horizon, Big Bank Muscle, Small Bank Hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get-it-all. We'll have Corey Curtis from News 2 coming up at 8 o'clock, taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com, 615-737-1025. Paul texting in saying that he's with Joe. The pressure on Arch and his preordained Hall of Fame career on top of the pressure of that last name is ridiculous for any kid to carry.
Yeah. Paul and I are on Arch's side here, okay? Just saying, let's see. I think he's been obviously prepared for this. I think he's handled everything great. But it nothing to now, including his family heritage and his recruiting profile, guarantees success. Just not how it works.
How many Titans
Real life.
How many Titans fans are going to pay close attention to the draft prospects next year, whether it's Sellers or Manning, whoever it ends up being, and just to see how their college season goes, where things go, and then compare things to like Cam Ward and how that's going. I feel like a lot of Titans fans are going to be like, all right, let's see how these guys look coming out next year. Compare that to what we know from Cam Ward in year one with the Titans. And how many times do you think, particularly if things don't go well with Ward in year one, which given his surroundings right now may not go well in year one, we'll see. But particularly with that, how many times do you think the Giants trade is going to be brought up to us throughout the course of that?
Yeah.
They should have taken the Giants trade.
No question. Yeah, well, every time he struggles this year, first of all, but also the quarterbacks this year in college and then next year in the draft. And then where are the Titans and Giants picking next year in the draft?
Yeah.
Are they both way at the top? When basically you could probably just about have your pick of what's supposed to be a much better QB class. Yeah, it'll all be tracked very closely. No doubt about it.
I don't really like it. Cade Klubnik is a fine college player. I don't know that I get the fact that he's the number 5 odds right now to go number 1 overall next year. I'm sorry, I can't really get there with him.
I will say it's funny because the Georgia game happened last year, and I think I had to like write a little something off that game, and I remember like some of it was just like Clemson just isn't good enough at quarterback. Yeah. Now, obviously, they got dominated in that game, but he was bad, and he did turn it on. He ended up playing much better last year than I probably thought was possible. So, like, he's improved. He is improved, and so he's improved his possibilities. But I'm with you. It's hard for me to get there with him as a effective NFL quarterback. But again,
he looked great against Citadel last year.
Yeah, I mean, someone earlier brought up Jalen Hurts. Man, when he was ousted and Tua beat him out, I never guessed he'd be an NFL QB, and he just won a Super Bowl. So yeah. I'm not going to sit here and disqualify Klubnik, but I like guys like Nussmeier and Sellers and probably even Aller more. But even with Aller, it's like, okay, but show me consistency. We see the tools, but where's the consistency?
Liam says, who knows, the Giants fans may end up angered that they didn't offer another first round of the Titans for Cam Ward. Could go that way. There was a nice video that came out over the weekend of like behind the scenes with the Giants and them calling Mike Borgonzi one more time right before they picked Cam Ward. Like, hey, bud, are you sure? You sure you don't want to take a trade offer? I think it was largely a joke as the call, but it was pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah, some of that stuff, I don't know if I'd have a lot of confidence in Joe Shane if I'm a Giants fan.
No.
I don't know, man. It was a little I feel like maybe he could have been more convincing.
I mean,
I'm not talking about that call. I'm talking about prior to that.
Yeah, like one of the funniest clips from the Hard Knock stuff was just, John Mara sitting there in Joe Shane's office. It's just, man, I'm going to be sick if Saquon goes to Philadelphia and plays well. Well, I got news for you, buddy.
Well,
got some news for you, buddy. As Jackson points out on the text line, don't forget about Nico. He could be available.
Well,
in the draft high next year.
Well, listen, a year ago, we were up. Who's going first, Nico or Arch in 26? Which one?
Yeah.
Which is going to be 1-2. But which one? Is Nico going to be Winston or is he going to be Mariota?
Yeah.
Which one is he going to be? Hey, maybe Nico will absolutely crush at UCLA. If he can get UCLA to like 6-6, 7-5 this year, that's an achievement. He's got tools.
He does. He does have tools. We'll see how it goes for him out there.
Speaking of, a quarterback in another city that people are going to track closely.
Holy smokes.
Get the Big Ten Network, folks.
Our friend Johnny on YouTube says, all I ask is please, dear God, do not let Arch Manning go to the Colts. Colts may be looking for quarterback pretty soon.
Colts, Saints, Giants.
Yeah.
He's got to follow some Manning's footsteps.
Apparently so.
Someplace.
I mean, right now, when you think about it, the odds are pretty high that he's going to end up, whether even if it's 27 before he comes out. Like the odds, based on where some of these rosters are right now, are pretty high. He could end up where a family member has played before.
That is true. Yeah. Let's see, well, the Broncos are probably set. Chargers, yeah, they're probably set. Not that anybody played there, but they still are tied to them.
They are.
Yeah. But these three are cheeks right now.
You imagine if he gets drafted by the Colts, like what they're, regardless of like how good he is, but just because of his last name, he gets drafted by the Colts. Titans fans are going to be like, oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me.
It'll be a
Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck, and then they wander through the wilderness with Chris Ballard fearlessly leading the charge, only to end up back at Arch Manning.
Yeah. Well, and you should feel that way if he plays at some point in his life, like a guy who should go number 1 in the draft. Which we'll find out.
I think he's probably going to be pretty good this year.
I think he's going to be pretty good too. He's talented. But number 1 pick means you're great, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Most years,
yeah.
Like, I mean, say what you want about Cam Ward. Not always consistent, was bad against Georgia Tech, all that stuff. He was pretty freaking good last year.
He was.
Has Arch Manning done anything
Not yet.
now to suggest he's going to be that good? No, he is not.
Not yet.
Not yet. We'll see. But again, every mock draft in the history of the world will have him number 1.
Dustin from Hopkinsville on the text line says, Eagles didn't win a Super Bowl because of Hurts. They put massive talent around him. I wonder how Levis would do behind that line with that offense. You can go on vacation behind that line and call the last day to extend it by 2 days.
That's a silly take.
It always ends up back to Will Levis somehow here on this text line.
Yeah. Look, I don't disagree that they're a great team. They are a great team. This is what you do. You build a championship team with great defensive players, and offensive linemen, and skill players, and trades and drafts and all that stuff. Jalen Hurts was fantastic last year. He's going to get no credit for what he did. I mean, look at the throws he made in the Super Bowl. That wasn't just anybody sits back there and arm punts it because they have great protection. He gets so disrespected. And again, I'm not saying he's like a top 10 QB in the league or like top tier QB in the league. He is very good. He's a hell of a quarterback. And they're in good shape with him as their quarterback. He's not just a passenger.
I'm looking up Jalen Hurts Super Bowl stats. He's got a passer rating of 109.4 with 525 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick in 2 Super Bowls in his career. It's pretty good in the Super Bowl.
Played great in both. He really did.
Yeah. I think you can make the argument he played better than the one they lost.
Yeah.
He was really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like halfway through this one, it was just like, well, let's just hand off, get out of the way.
Yeah. No,
but I mean, no, he gets really disrespected.
Like, do I think Hurts is a top 5 quarterback? No. But I do think there's something to be said. I mean, isn't this what you want for your quarterback, is to elevate when it really matters?
Yeah.
Like, he definitely does that, right? I mean,
without question. I mean, look, they're a run-based team. That Barker was a huge pickup. So, and even with Jalen Hurts as a scrambler and a power runner, but yeah, I mean, he made big throws throughout that entire run in this postseason. They don't get there if he doesn't make some clutch key throws.
Well, going back to the Ward part of this and the conversations we had over the pre-draft process of would you take, what Baker Mayfield has turned into now. and somebody threw out like, "Would you take him turning into Jalen Hurts?" And I was like, "Yeah, I would. I would definitely take him turning into Jalen Hurts." I mean, I know they're not exactly the same style of player. I don't think Cam Ward is going to be getting down and like, squatting people off of him from the tush push. So they're different players, but like the production, the effectiveness of playing that position, when I take that from Cam Ward for Jalen Hurts, yeah, I would take that.
100%. I mean, Dustin, like, okay, so how is he doing on Titans Tannehill teams? He's mid, man, not elite. Okay, I'll take him. You got to have a great team too. I'll take what he does. And again, in the moments, the way he steps up and is not afraid at all the moment, that is a very valuable thing. Another texter says, going off family history, I'm just going to assume a Manning is going to be great till proven otherwise. Well, Peyton was great. Was Eli great? I mean, Eli was a very good quarterback for a long time, and he did. Now, there's also stepping up at the big moments, no question. 2-0 against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. You can't take that away from him, but
he's probably going to end up in the Hall of Fame.
He'll end up in the Hall of Fame. There's no question. Between the compilation of stats and those two Super Bowls, yes, he'll be a Hall of Famer. But was he great? Like top tier? I don't think so. Archie really wasn't either. Now, he played for a bunch of buns teams. But, I mean, you look at Archie, incredible athlete and runner. That's the thing about him, which I think is more Arch for sure than either of Archie's sons. But I think the only great one was Peyton, right?
I think that's fair.
Okay. This has turned into Rip the Manning. I prefer to Rip Brady.
It's unbelievable.
I love the Manning family. Everybody loves the Mannings.
It's time for the Rex Rant coming up next. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Corey Curtis from News 2 will be with us at 8 o'clock. All that coming up. Robby and Rexrode, 1025-1063 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment, let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
Hey, what's wrong with my laptop? Come on, everything's fine.
No. We went in the halftime. We had a love fest. We all kind of gathered around. We hugged each other.
These mother farters, oh my God.
I don't like that.
And some of their mouths of teeth were really interesting.
I plan to go throw today, a little bit harder. My ball has a little extra heat on it today. I got some built up anger.
Are we doing eggshell white in the meeting rooms, or are we?
It is that time of the day. Time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. You can check it out every morning here on the program. Joseph, the floor is yours. I turn things over to you.
Thank you. And you heard the associate executive assistant regional producer Tom Izzo there for a minute.
He's late this morning, the show meeting.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like the off season. Got to let the guy get a little more sleep. But that is a little hint. Every chance I get to talk about college basketball, I'm going to talk about college basketball, right? Huh?
Thank God.
Well, guess what? College basketball got fixed on Friday, and we need to talk about it. And we fixed college. I'm going to say we fixed college basketball. I'm going to take credit because I wrote a column I don't know. I guess it was 2 months ago now. Not quite. Basically, I don't have it in front of me, but it was basically the headline was like, college basketball can fix its late game woes if the coaches don't screw it up. Right? That was the headline. Well, the coaches haven't screwed it up. Kudos to the coaches. You didn't screw it up. And let me tell you, folks, it's just got a lot better. Now, this still has to go through final approval, but the Men's Basketball Rules Committee proposed the one challenge per game for coaches to review out-of-bounds calls, basket interference / goaltending, and whether a secondary defender was in the restricted area. They would need to have a timeout. If it's successful, they get another for the rest of the game, including overtime. If not, they lose the ability to challenge the rest of the game. The NBA did this. People don't remember. About 6 years ago, the NBA was in the same thing with college now, which is, oh, my God, another review. Oh, my God, another review. Oh, my God, why is this review lasting 8 minutes?
Right.
And then they went to the challenge system. Garth Glissman wrote that rule for the NBA. He now works for the SEC. He wrote this rule as a member of the SEC and submitted it to the Rules Committee. June 10th, it'll be reviewed, but there's no way, right, like that they're going to screw this up now. So this is going to be official, and guys, it's a beautiful thing. I think
Speed this thing up a little bit. Yep.
Yeah, no, one of the worst things, and it's a totally fair complaint. You got these games that are going 2 hours, 20 minutes. Tennessee fans this year, I swear, must have had 10 games where they're like, oh, so what are the ESPN News? What do I go to? Where do I go to watch the first half of my game? Because this freaking Cincinnati Xavier game, has 8 reviews at the end of it. We're done with that crap. It's challenge. If you don't challenge, that's it. Just for more details on this now, it will be different from the NBA in terms of the fouls. And some people may have a problem with that. I like it. They're not doing the foul thing. I'm watching this. I'm sorry, but Golden State got screwed the other day. And I know I'm biased. But these reviews at Draymond's expense the other day were incredible. And the last one, they had a foul on Minnesota. They review it, and they decide not only is it not a foul, let's give Draymond his 5th foul because he was grabbing a jersey on the that's, to me, absurd. And yes,
tell him quit grabbing the jersey.
Yeah, but again, I'm okay with changing a foul, but then you're adding a foul. I don't like that. I don't. You know what? Let's throw a foul on. We missed this foul.
I think I could have called him twice. 2 fouls.
Yeah, well, they'd
Same
like
play.
to. They everything they did the other day with reviews screwed him over. But anyway, I digress. This will not include fouls. So I like that. I think that's, it's more restricted than the NBA. And again, that's just, I think you're probably going to have some games where you just don't have challenges because of that. With the NBA, with fouls being reviewable, how many games you watch the NBA where they don't use their challenges? I think you'll see some games where they don't in college basketball.
As long as this puts a stop to the end of watching the end of the SEC tournament, or certainly when the NCAA tournament gets underway. And look, as you know, there's a lot that's great about it. I mean, the NCAA tournament is awesome, but there's not a whole lot that's worse than like the last 2 minutes of some of these games where they review everything. I mean, just everything, even the smallest little call, that just gets reviewed all the time. And it's like, guys, come on. And one of the things that drives me crazy in sports, and they do this in a lot of sports with the clock for sure, but like, there will be times in a hockey game where like 4 seconds just runs off the clock with 12 minutes left in the first period and nobody cares.
Right.
But in the last minute of the third period, everybody cares. So that's what we do all the time. It's like, let's just get this thing going. Let's get through the end here.
Yeah, no question. Now, so the out of bounds calls, that's only a challenge.
Yes.
Now,
Thank God.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to like the championship game in Virginia, which to me gave Virginia the championship over Texas Tech. Sorry, Johnny, but I mean, it's like the ball slapped out of his hand.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're going to slow down everything, it scraped off the fingernail. No, he was dribbling, the ball got knocked out of his hand. It's the other team's ball. It's his ball still. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Just the overkill on this is ridiculous. Now, the next thing that needs to happen, and the only basketball league in the world at men's, women's, at any level that does halves and not quarters is men's college basketball. If you go to quarters, now you don't get into the bonus and have 12 minutes of bonus. You reset halfway through, and so you have more game flow there too. That's next. Right now, the sticking point there is that the commercial inventory is sold in that way. That's my understanding. Commercial inventory for the NCAA tournament in particular is sold in the half model, and so they got. But you figure that out. I mean, you could figure that out, right? Get to quarters, and we're on our way.
Wow.
We're fixing this damn sport. Let's go.
College basketball is about to be revolutionized, is what you're saying.
It's going to be way more easy and fun to watch.
Viewer friendly.
Exactly.
Viewer friendly.
It will be actually be viewer friendly next year. So get excited.
It's good news.
Another thing that happened, after our show on Friday. So
that tends to happen. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Corey Curtis from News 2. We'll get his thoughts on all things Titans. Take more of your thoughts on our phone and text lines. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, brought to you by First Horizon, Big Bank Muscle, Small Bank Hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get it all. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Monday morning. And as we do every Monday at 8 o'clock, we head to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in our friend Corey Curtis from News 2, brought to you by Tennessee Men's Clinic. Corey, good morning. How are you?
G'day, Governor.
Nice.
All right, how are you?
I didn't expect that one. We're awesome.
You know, why are you in such a? Why are you in the mood?
Chipper
To give
mood.
us your Aussie accent. Is it because you think that Luther Burden is the greatest receiver ever, like the rest of Bears Twitter?
You know what? Just like with the Titans, I will not judge anyone by clips on Twitter.
Saw a lot of that over the weekend, both with Bears fans and Titans fans that are
gosh.
like, "Why Xavier Restrepo is way faster than I thought, way faster."
Yeah.
And I was like,
It's
"We
like the
discovered
guy
that
who
after a
tweeted out-
6-second video."
Did you see the guy who tweeted out that Shedeur Sanders threw the ball 81 yards?
Yes, I did see that.
I'm like, that's like a 40-yard throw.
81 yards. Yeah, the Twitter overreactions to video clips and football practices are quite something.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenon that is really interesting to me. So let's just start at the receiving room for the Titans. We brought up Restrepo. I am interested to see, in all seriousness, what he can do and what that looks like for him. But I mean, you're looking at it right now. You've got, obviously Ridley and you've got Lockett in there. And beyond that, it's going to be a pretty young room in there. So what are your thoughts on the opportunity for the 2 draft picks that they had and also Restrepo stepping in here?
Yeah, I mean, it is going to be a young room. And I mean, look, we all like Tyler Lockett. He made a great first impression. He's had a wonderful career. We don't know what they're going to get from him at this point. We just don't. I am excited to see some of the young guys, but I mean, guys, they've been drafting receivers for years. So, they've finally got a hit with some of these guys, and, we'll see if they can or they can't. I'm glad there's multiple ones there to try to get something done. I think that's a big step forward. And, talking about Restrepo, if he is something, it's a bonus, but he was a highly productive player in college. So he's certainly worth taking a look at. But yeah, nothing I saw on Twitter is going to make me go, oh yeah, this guy's going for 1,000 this year. But, I'd like to see them all play. The guy that I still think can help them is Bryce Oliver, though. I mean, he certainly showed he can play special teams at the end of the year last year. And I thought he had a very good camp last year. And so I'm interested to see if he can take a step forward to help this team.
Yeah, we were going through the possible receiver room, like an Oliver, Restrepo could be compared against each other. Like you said, special teams does matter when you get down to the bottom, of the room. Maybe what does Jefferson have? I don't think Restrepo is I'm predicting him to make the team, but yeah, there's probably some overboard reaction to a couple plays against Air in the rookie camp. What about the leadership conversation around Cam Ward, Corey? What are you seeing in that regard?
I think it's important. I mean, his coaches at Incarnate Word and Washington State and Miami all basically call him a culture changer. And, I'm not here saying the Titans had a bad culture, but like, guys, we know the leadership void that was there with the departures of Derrick Henry and Ben Jones and Kevin Byard. You don't just lose all those guys and move on. And so they have not had the guys to really replace those guys and set the standard for the team. And so, having the guy in that position to set the standard for the team, I think is important. And I think it comes naturally to him. So, he doesn't have to be taught to do it. He doesn't have to fake to do it. That's who he is. He has expectations of himself. And I think he has expectations of his teammate. And I think it's a really important part of who he is. Now, can he do it at this level? That remains to be seen, like every other quarterback that's been drafted before him. But I think it's a big component of who he is and an important one.
Corey, a lot of talk over the weekend about Ward and his ability to get the ball out really quickly. Now, I will say, Will Levis could also get the ball out pretty quickly, right? Like when he wanted to, he could get it out quickly. I do look at Ward in the way that he played at Miami, and it does feel like, part of the ability and his ability to get himself out of trouble sometimes is the very quick release, which some guys have that, some guys don't, and I'm not sure how much you can actually teach that fundamentally. Like Brian Callahan has talked about, basically from the waist up, it's hard to change much of your fundamentals at quarterback once you make it to the NFL. How big of kind of a weapon do you think that can be for Cam Ward, and just how quickly the ball comes out of his hand?
Well, I mean, you know how small the windows are in the NFL. So I think it's important, and arm strength matters. And like you said, getting it out quickly, so when you see it, you can rip it and get it there. Those things are all important. But, I think there's a couple other things, with this. Number one is preparation. I've always said success happens when preparation meets opportunity. And the kid loves to prepare. And I'm not saying Will Levis didn't. We know Will Levis works. That is not a question. But, Cam Ward loves to prepare. He loves to watch film. He loves to work on the field. And that is all part of the reason he is able to get the ball out quickly beyond the physical ability to do it. The other key difference I think we're going to see here is, wasn't Will's path to quarterback much later than Cam's? I think he switched later in high school or something. He was like a tight end or something like that. I mean, he's a big man.
He could be a linebacker still.
And yeah. And, where Cam has been a quarterback since day one. His dad was a quarterback and taught him. And so he has a lot more feel for the position. I think there's a lot better anticipation of pressure in the pocket and feeling the pressure in the pocket. And I think there's a lot better anticipation of what's happening in the passing game. And I think that also allows him to read and react just that much quicker, where in the NFL, that makes the difference. Again, we're going to have to see it in the field, but I think those are some of the arrows pointing in his direction that should make you feel like it's going to happen.
So, Corey, we've talked some today about the idea of, obviously Titans fans hoping Cam Ward works out, but of course next year they're going to be looking at who gets picked and tracking them and where the Giants are picking, what could have been, all that stuff. My question for you is, are you as convinced as the entire Western world is that Arch Manning is just absolutely the number one pick in the draft next year?
No. I mean, he could be, but I mean, we've barely seen the young man play.
Thank you. Why is this hard for people?
I'd like to see him play. I'd like to see him play somebody in a big game, on top of that. That's the thing about Cam Ward. We got to see him throw for 18,000 yards. All right. There is some proof of concept there, and beyond name and star rating, I need more proof of concept. Mitch Trubisky was the number one recruit in the country coming out of high school, and he didn't work out. All right. So, look, he very well could be. There's no question. He's got the lineage. He's got the physical specs, but I need to see him play. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks on the list this year, but I'll guarantee you that list looks a lot better or a lot different after 12 games than it does at the beginning of the 12 games. And I will go on to say this: there will probably be a name or two show up there that isn't on the list.
Corey, what is your reaction going to be, do you think, if Daniel Jones is a starting quarterback, like it looks like he might very well be for the Indianapolis Colts in Week 1 this year?
Well, when the other guy has to tap out of a game because he's tired and then go under anesthesia for 7 hours to get a back tattoo, it makes you wonder about him. Okay. I mean,
I didn't know that story.
Fair.
What did I miss? Anesthesia for 7 hours? What?
Yeah, he wanted a total back tattoo, so he went under anesthesia for 7 hours and got this total back tattoo.
Of what?
At least, I don't know, but at least he's not tired.
Now I need to know what the tattoo is of.
Yeah. Look, they've tried Mickey Mouse in their way around that position. They finally took a swing at it. with Richardson and put him out there way before he was ready. That's the guy that really could have stood to have watched.
Oh, yes.
Really, and, watched for a year. And, it would have been okay. People would have understood. At least I feel like they would have understood, when you talk about his age and when you talk about his lack of playing time, lack of proof of concept, that you could have understand, hey, we're going to take our time with it. I mean, there's a lot of like McNair there, right? Superior athletic ability, but needs to learn the refinement of the position. But if, do you applaud the Colts for bringing in Daniel Jones if he wins the job, or does it just go, gosh, you guys are a mess? I think
I would lean the latter.
Yeah, I would too, because Daniel Jones is not good.
I think it's all just planning for Manning.
Could be.
I thought that was the Saints. Now I thought the Saints were getting arched.
Oh, they are all in. Saints fans are all in.
Yeah, they want to go 0-17.
It's going to be quite a battle for the guy who might be about the 9th best quarterback in the SEC next year.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Could be. Be great.
We don't know. He's right.
Yes.
We don't know.
Thank you, Corey. I knew you'd be on my side on this.
Corey, last thing for you here. It's been a week. You were at the Barry Trotz season-ending press conference last Monday. Andrew Burnett.
I took the over and under on his opening statement at 15 minutes.
Boy, were you low.
That was a huge mistake. That was a huge mistake.
That was the longest opening. Statement's not the right word. It was an opening monologue, pretty much.
4 score, and
it was
27 minutes.
It was awesome. A lot of talking going on.
Amazing.
And he didn't even look tired. He looked like he could have kept going. He just decided to stop. I was thinking the next time Cory Booker decides to get up there, he needs to call Barry Trotz to tap him in.
Well, the best part about it was like I think he thought that he's like, there's no way they could possibly have questions after that. So let's just get off the stage.
he was
Thank you. Good night.
That's what Whitey Herzog used to do with Jack Buck. He just talked forever, so he wouldn't have any questions. You have a question, though. I cut you off.
Well, so Andrew Burnett officially back, and what did you make of Barry Trotz's kind of outline for his plan here to get back to being a competitive hockey team next year?
Well, look, I understand it. He is a coach, and so I understand his support of a coach, and he's not wrong. Because we do this all the time where, the NFL coach of the year gets fired a year later. And we're like, well, did he forget how to coach? I mean, really, did he forget Doug Peterson wins the Super Bowl in Philly a year later, he's out. Did he forget how to coach or did something else change? So I can buy that excuse, but he does have to grow for sure. They've got to get more out of what they've got. But, you're taking a chance, but you're also taking a chance. He'd rather take a chance with a guy that he knows. And I can respect that. So, he's hitched his wagon, and so it's got to go with him. It sounds like he's basically banking on players returning to form and buying in and young guys getting better. Because we talk about the old guys. The young guys really let him down last year. Really let them down. They had a lot of guys who just did not deliver very much last year. And so, there are other teams that change coaches, change players. That's not going to be this team. He's going to count on what he got to get better. And that is a bold non-2025 strategy. And, we'll see how it works out.
By the way, the Anthony Richardson back tattoo apparently included his last name, the NFL logo, 4 aces, a roulette wheel, dice, a lion, a cross, and Spartan Warriors. Sedation for 7 hours.
Just a smorgasbord of stuff he likes?
Apparently so.
But they just spun a wheel.
Yeah.
So what goes on next?
Yeah, that's what this is according to the Indy Star.
You throw Homer Simpson in there, and how about some Care Bears? What?
Listen, I'm just going to say this. Before you get the NFL logo or anything, you might want to be good.
That's a good point.
The guy's
gold
a
jacket,
superior athlete. He doesn't have to be a superior gold jacket. He's got to be a starter.
No, I'm saying get a gold jacket tattoo. Just tattoo a gold jacket on your back.
That would be bold. Just to like have a bodysuit like tattooed, like a gold jacket.
Yeah.
That would be bold.
I'm just kind of
Like a
disappointed. You got through that whole. That's a lot on that list, and you did. There's not a Gator from Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
What if they did the whole thing and like NFL was NLF?
That'd be a tough one.
No Rugrats. No Rugrats across the chest with
Not
an
even
A.
a single letter. That's right.
He asked for a 13, but they gave him 31.
Corey, great stuff as always, my friend. Thank you for taking time to be with us today, and we will talk to you next Monday.
Maybe next Monday we all go in for back tattoos and we do the show live while getting back tattoos.
I mean, that could actually be incredible radio.
Back tattoos of the Chicago Pope, who unfortunately is a Sox fan, not a Cubs fan.
But none of us know what the tattoo is going to be because we're all picking for each other.
Well, that could really get in there. Rexrode seems really excited about that.
I'm in.
You're both getting the Pope, by the way.
Oh, good. We'll get that going. Thank you, Corey.
Bye.
Corey Curtis, brought to you by Tennessee Men's Clinic, joins us every Monday morning at 8 o'clock. We'll react to what Corey had to say. And, man, was there a lot there. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Appreciate Corey Curtis from News 2 for being with us in the last segment. A lot of reaction to Anthony Richardson tattoo there. I got one texter that says he had to stop the tattoo halfway because he got tired. I gotta tap out of this. I mean, in all seriousness, 7 hours for a back tattoo?
Yeah,
seems, I'd probably tap out of that too.
No, we were talking
Seems
about
awful.
like that's a heart surgery amount of time
Yeah.
to need to be
Anesthesia.
under, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I mean, is that what people do?
I don't think so.
I feel like
I've never
it
heard
seems
of
like
this.
some people go in there, it takes forever. They just sit there and take the pain, right? Or they
Break
you
it up
know,
into sessions. Couple hours here, couple hours there.
get a little
Not-
buzz, you know. Someone says Stilly will get a matching tat. That's right. He is a big Anthony Richardson guy.
It says, I mean, I'm reading the story from the Indianapolis Star, and it just says 7 hours sedated while getting full back artwork during the offseason last year. 7 hours of sedation.
And again, like just random items, just like a total smorgasbord of whatever. Like at least make it one awesome, logo.
I mean, it included his last name, the NFL logo, 4 aces, a roulette wheel, dice, a lion, a cross, and Spartan Warriors. There you
So
go.
it's like the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe go to Vegas.
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at there's a picture of the completed product on his back, and it's
Let's
nice
see.
looking tattoo. I mean, it's good looking stuff there once you finally get through the 7 hours of it, I guess.
That's not good. That's a
Just
bad
saying,
tattoo.
It's all there. I can confirm.
Wait, is that name? Is that just on the screen?
I
Or is
think
that how it
that's
looks
on
on
the
his
screen.
back?
I
Okay.
think that's on the
Anthony Richardson.
This is who this is.
I like lions and aces and cowboys and corned beef hash. What? I don't know. But yes, thank you, Stephen from Hendersonville, for noticing the Care Bears reference.
Yeah.
He says, greatest comeback since Don Johnson knocked off Don Johnson's Miami Vice with Nass Bridges. There you
Yeah.
go.
I mean, it also says in here that he got a lot of crap for having sedation to go through a back tattoo. It's like, yeah, I bet you did. I'm starting to think, tapping out of the NFL football game, getting sedation to go under the tattoo there. Teammates are looking at him like, how tough is this guy?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You got a hangnail, buddy? You okay? Look, I mean,
Maybe it's not a big mystery when you combine all these things and a 47.7% completion percentage that he may not be the starting quarterback in Indianapolis this year.
Yeah. I mean, look, I would probably need sedation. One of the many reasons I've never had a tattoo is because like it sounds terribly painful.
It doesn't sound fun.
Yeah.
I don't have one either. I mean, I'm sure like it
Do you
just
have
depends
one?
on where you get it.
No
With
tattoos for me.
tattoo-free show.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
My
somebody-
wife has a handful,
Yeah.
but
I mean,
Yeah.
That's cool.
like
So
getting
she
it
made it
directly
through,
on
so.
a bone sounds awful. Other than that, I think you'd probably be okay.
Wait, what'd you say?
I
On
said
the
getting
bone?
it on a bone somewhere sounds awful. Other than that, it kind of,
But I mean, everywhere it's kind of on a bone, right?
I guess.
I mean, I guess if I had it on my belly, I'd be bone free. There's a
Measuring
You heard it
peep
here
size.
first. Belly tattoos upcoming for Rexrode. We'll take your suggestions on what he needs to get there.
There's enough padding there to keep it off my bones.
You get tattooed. What would your tattoo? If you're going Anthony Richardson style, yours would be corned beef hash. Rugby would be in there somewhere.
Probably Beavis
now.
and Butthead. I'd probably do a Beavis and Butthead.
Tom
tattoo.
Izzo's face somewhere on there.
Yeah, screaming, red screaming face. No, I'd probably do Beavis and Butthead.
The Beatles albums laid out over there.
That's not a bad
Metallica.
idea. Yeah. There's a lot of options.
Peter Frampton.
I mean, has he is there something written? Like, has he described anywhere like why he made these choices? I'm kind of fascinated now by this tattoo.
I'm more fascinated by the 7 hours of work, but no, I don't see like any detail of why he did all this. But apparently, he's been getting tattoos since he was 13 years old, according to this piece at the Indy Star.
Okay. And he just was like, the whole back.
Do you think he'll have the most
wait.
tattoos as a backup quarterback of any backup in the league next year?
That may be, but it's like he didn't have enough ideas for the whole back, so he just threw a couple items in there.
I guess so.
A la carte. But how is he doing
We're
that
gonna
if
get
he's
it all done
sedated?
at once, baby.
If he's sedated, how did the guy just pick for him? Like, yeah, how about a lion?
I got a lot of ideas here. I need you to put me under, and this is what we need you to do here.
Bradford says it feels like scratching a sunburn with a sewing needle. You know how awful that sounds?
Yeah, that sounds nice.
Absolutely awful.
Here's what I'm trying to figure out. Like Corey says anesthesia, and I also assume that's what it means. But like Dylan from Antioch says, when they say sedation, do they mean like he's totally under? Is this like surgery? I don't know.
I mean, some people are quote unquote sedated when they get tattoos because they're like blown out, but they're still sitting there.
Exactly.
Boy, we really are the dog from Up today.
Oh yeah, this has been an interesting program from our attention span level. He said that. I was like, really? 7 hours of sedation? How about that?
This texture says feels kind of like getting a strawberry burn from sliding into a base on your thigh. Again, no.
That's all right. I can handle that.
The other one sounds way worse. A needle on your sunburn.
Yeah, that doesn't sound great. Vengen's got 6, he says. 6 tattoos for
Vengen has 6 tattoos?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of a badass.
There you go.
Tussin says you can get tats of your most memorable arguments. Robby sitting back in the eating popcorn and Skaharsky and Rexrode are yelling, pointing fingers in cartoon form. I mean, I'd get tattoo of the Beastie Boys with their faces on them.
Mariota. Give me a nice Marcus tattoo.
Yeah, there you go.
Shoulder. And with a quote from you, just say, it's a pretty good quarterback.
He's pretty good. He's all right.
615-737-1025, our phone number. We will actually get into the Titans coming up next. Talk a little football. Take your thoughts. Robby and Rexrode, 1025-1063, the game. Robby and Rexrode brought to you by First Horizon. Big bank muscle, small bank hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get it all. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Monday morning. Taking your thoughts on the Titans, 615-737-1025. The rookies were on the field over the weekend. The vets rolling in starting today. And, Joe, a lot of conversation about obviously Cam Ward, but also the Titans receivers over the weekend as well. Xavier Restrepo out there making some plays that people who cover the Titans were tweeting about. Now, granted, most of them were on air, so there is that to keep in mind. But Restrepo, an undrafted free agent, very productive, as we've pointed out, at the University of Miami, and had a fantastic year this past year with Cam Ward as his quarterback. He runs a bad time at the 40-yard dash at his pro day, over 4.8, and then doesn't get drafted. So he doesn't get drafted, signs with the Titans as an undrafted free agent. And now the question is, can he actually help this team this year? Does he have a chance of making this team based on where they're at with their receiver room and where he was taken as an undrafted free agent? Brian Callahan asked about Xavier Restrepo over the weekend. Here's what Callahan had to say on Restrepo, his path to get here, and how important the 40 time was to the Titans.
Xavier Restrepo out of your wide receiver group.
You know, Xavier's been a really productive college player. I mean, you look at all the names of receivers that have played at the University of Miami, and he's at the top, which is impressive. He might not necessarily be the biggest or the fastest player that's probably ever come out of Miami, but he's been incredibly productive, and he's found ways to play football the right way. So he'll start out as a slot player for us, and he'll have every chance to compete just like everybody else will. But you look at his production and what he's done as a football player, and he puts himself in pretty good position to be competitive. And even though he didn't run the fastest time in the world, I'm excited to see what he can do.
So the 40 time wasn't that big a deal for you guys?
I mean, it all matters. Yeah, I mean, it matters. But I think you see the football player and you see the speed that he plays with when he plays. I wouldn't have thought that would have been the time that he ran. But you know, that's how you go from a potential draft pick to being an undrafted free agent at the end of the day. And he's got a lot to prove, and I'm excited to see him do it.
So a 4.83 40 for Xavier Restrepo, which we talked a lot about when it happened. And Callahan said it there. He said, you know, that's how you go from probably being drafted to an undrafted free agent. And we'll see whether or not this is going to be one of those stories that works out really well for the Titans, or if this is just a sign of maybe he's just not a really good college player and not cut out to be in the NFL, which, Joe, we do see a lot in the world of college football. And we'll see what that means for Restrepo.
Yeah, look, I like the signing. It's a good signing. I promise you the Titans were far from alone in wanting to sign him. The whole Cam Ward Restrepo thing is probably going to be a little bit overrated. Get into camp. He's going to be catching passes, a lot of passes from Tim Boyle will be my guess. But you go through the list of contenders for this receiver room, I'm predicting he makes the team. It's no sure thing. I don't feel great about it. But we listed 8 guys earlier, and I would put Traylon Burks as the 8th guy at this point. And I think I look at Restrepo and I think it's like Restrepo, Bryce Oliver, who is a nice, he's been a nice addition. I think he's got a good chance. Van Jefferson, what's Van Jefferson got left at this point?
I don't think very much.
I think those 3 guys for, probably for the final spot, like Ridley, DK, A.O. Manor. Good.
I.O. Manor.
Lockett. I think you could lock those 4. And then I'm sorry, those 3 guys I mentioned for 2 spots. So I think, look, if you're Restrepo, absolutely the 40 time hurt him. I think he's drafted if he has a decent 40 time.
I would agree.
But if you're Restrepo and you were looking at opportunity around the league, you had to look at this place beyond Cam Ward and say, yep, this is a room I could get into. And I think he can. But let's also keep that means he's a reserve. And by the way, I don't mention Mason Kinsey.
Yeah.
But Mason Kinsey can get on the slot and make plays for you too.
He's hanging around.
He is.
Just like he always does. He's hanging around. Look, the bottom line for me for the Titans receiving room is, number one, they need Calvin Ridley to have an uptick over what he's been the last couple of years. And it doesn't necessarily have to mean he's been basically a 1,000-yard guy the last 2 years. It doesn't mean that he has to be a 1,300-yard guy now, but it does mean you got to get out of the gate quicker. And we've talked about that in terms of getting on the same page with Ward. Beyond Ridley, who I think there's at least, if he's healthy, a baseline of kind of the range of what he is right now, which is, I think, probably in a perfect world, a pretty good number 2 and not a number 1. But right now you'll live with that if you're the Titans. Who is that next guy that's going to be able to make plays for them? Is it Tyler Lockett? Frankly, like as the season goes on, they probably need it to be somebody else that's not Tyler Lockett. They need one of these rookies to step in and to be able to make an impact. Like we've talked about Lockett. Lockett's reliable. Lockett stays healthy. Lockett's also going to be 33 in September, and his production has started to go pretty significantly the other way. Last year, 49 catches, 600 yards, 2 touchdowns for Lockett. Can he do that again, or is it going to continue to tank a little bit? Like, is he more of a, 35 catch, 500-yard guy now, which you can still use, but if that's your second guy, like, you need somebody else to come in and fill that role. Like, I like Io Manor. I like a lot of the things I've seen from him, watching him in college and some of the highlights you've seen. Same thing with DK. Like, I like some of the highlights that you've seen, but you are talking about 2 fourth-round receivers there. So what exactly are they going to give you when it comes to regular, everyday guys contributing at the NFL level? What are they in year one? I think the expectation, like expecting them to come in and be like 60 catch guys that put up 800, 900 yards this year, that seems pretty lofty to me for 2 rookies taken in the 4th round.
Yeah. I mean, I think there probably should be more attention on them and a little less on Restrepo, right? Like they use significant draft capital on these 2 guys. I think if you're the Titans, you really hope one of them becomes like a, wow, they got that guy in the 4th round kind of guy right away. I like Io Manor.
I do too.
Physically, I know that he's had some inconsistencies too, catching the ball and things like that. But I think that he has a chance to be significant for this team. But yeah. I mean, you need really both of them. They're both going to make the team, barring something
drastic,
brutal.
Yeah.
And so you really need something from both of them. But I think it's going to be. It's going to be a lot of by committee, as far as we know. You just need. Look, AJ Brown was really good at Ole Miss. I mean, they got him, like pick 53. So, I mean, he was a significant draft pick, but he still was like game 1. He takes that little stick route and takes it to the house. Like, he was immediately like, holy crap, this guy fell to the 2nd round.
Well, and you're like, yeah, this guy should have been drafted way higher than where he was.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They need some stories like that. This franchise has had very few stories like that in recent years.
Exactly. And they need probably several of them in the next few years if they're going to dig their way out of this, right? I mean, obviously Ward's the most important part of it, but they need some guys that come along and help him that way, that maybe expedite that a little bit. One texter says, isn't getting a UDFA who could help your team like the best case scenario? How do we end up in a place where it's a bad thing? I don't think it's a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing.
I guess my point is, I think expectations for him should be managed.
Yeah.
Right. Like he is an undrafted free agent. Now, maybe he does come in and look, maybe they get through camp and he's like their 3rd best receiver and it's clear. I have no idea. It could happen that way.
It is possible.
But I think way too many people are just assuming it's a given that he's making the team, and I would not go that far.
Yeah. I'm going to predict it. And again, the 40 time, he has claimed he regularly tested in 4.5s, then don't run. If you're banged up, you hurt yourself. But it's that short, it's that, that quickness, the foot quickness is what matters. One thing that stood out to me about him is he looks big, almost maybe too big for a slot receiver. But he's got physicality, broke tackles in college. I mean, he's a good football player. So it's not a bad thing, but it's also maybe not the great thing. Some people is, all right, what have you got over there? What the heck? Oh my God. Robby is showing, someone illustrated a picture of me with a belly tattoo.
At DJ Burnside on Twitter.
Good.
It's actually at Dennis J. Burnside on Twitter, but we now have visual.
What is it of? What's the tattoo
it's
of?
Care Bears on your stomach.
Well,
For the record, not your stomach, but your face is photoshopped on this person.
yeah, I'm in way better shape than that dude. Caleb in Mount Juliet says his belly idea tattoo is Homer Simpson eating corned beef holding a beer instead of a donut with the word gout around it. Dennis, can you do that one?
Kind of like it.
Take my face off it, please.
615-737-1025. Our phone number. More of your thoughts to get to on the Titans coming up next. We will do that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063, The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063, The Game. I got some tickets to give away, a pair of tickets to the Outlaw Music Festival featuring Willie Nelson and family, Bob Dylan, and more coming up at First Bank Amphitheater on Wednesday, June 25th. Be caller 5-615-737-1025. Caller 5 will win a pair of tickets to the Outlaw Music Festival at First Bank Amphitheater on Wednesday, June 25th.
That sounds fun, man. It
does.
Willie Nelson.
92 years old.
Unbelievable. Freaking legend.
They're getting it done.
If you're looking for a podcast,
I mean-
I'll give you Jamel Hill's podcast, which he had Snoop Dogg on, talking about how Willie smoked Snoop under the table to the point where he couldn't talk anymore, and then they went and got KFC buckets of chicken. It's
I smoke weed constantly.
some of the greatest podcasting ever done.
By the way, Bob Dylan. I mean, Bob Dylan be 84 in 12 days.
176 years between those two dudes.
That's quick math by you.
Thank
Look
you.
at you.
Thank you.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they're still rocking. I like it.
We'll see how it goes.
I feel
You
terrible.
gonna go?
I
You'll
mean,
be out
I've
of
never
town, won't you?
seen. I've never seen either of those guys.
Really? It surprises me.
I know. Well, the thing is, I'm like concert crazy now because in my youth, these bands I love. I mean, I never saw Nirvana,
Yeah.
never saw Soundgarden, never saw Alice in Chains, never saw Beastie Boys. I blew it, man. So I'm trying not to blow it now. So maybe I'll be there.
Makes sense. Dylan on the text line says, I would absolutely cut Burks and Jefferson. You don't need Burks around, who's constantly injured, and Jefferson has been absolute trash the past couple of years. Give all the opportunities and spots you can to the new, young, and up-and-coming guys. This is from Dylan on the text line. Not a huge Van Jefferson fan.
Well, I will say I'm a little skeptical on it. I just like a Restrepo. If you like what you see, I would probably rather ride that train.
Don't get me like Van Jefferson's not good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, but we'll see. At least they have enough bodies now to have something resembling a competition. Whereas it wasn't long ago, we were like, gee, that receiver room.
Yeah. They didn't have enough bodies to fill it
You're
out.
going to keep 3 guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I like Restrepo's chances. We'll see.
Do you think Burks is 100% gone?
It's pretty close. You know, it's just when you add the injuries with the inconsistency, and I'm sure that the inconsistency, I feel bad for him because I really do believe that camp, which would have been 23, right?
His second year. Yep.
Yeah, he really was like, it was legit. He was legitimately gaining confidence, and I don't know what kind of season he would have had, but that injury he suffered at Minnesota, that changed things for him without question. And I'd be interested to see how it plays out without that. But he's had other stuff too, and it's just never come together for him. So I'm not expecting him to be on this team.
Is he going to end up at San Francisco to join forces with Andre Dillard and Nicholas Petit-Frere out there?
Oh my goodness. Who else can they get?
Like we talked about it earlier, but can you imagine if the Niners run into a situation where those two guys end up on the field at the same time? Like Brock Purdy, just go down, man.
The Laurel and Hardy of offensive tackles. Just put them on the field together and let the hijinks ensue.
Brock, make sure you sign your contract. Maybe it was a negotiating tactic for the Niners. Like, hey, man, we've got this number that we feel pretty good about giving you, and you're trying to get us to pay you more. If you don't sign this contract right now, you're going to play with Andre Dillard and Nicholas Petit-Frere this year.
We're putting the Dillard NPF offense in. Watch out. Yeah, that's amazing they signed both.
I did have a Titans fan.
Like you figured both of them would end up somewhere, but for both of them, for one team to look at both of them and say,
yeah,
we'll take you and you. Let's go.
It's pretty wild. I did have a Titans fan tweet me on Friday and was like, yeah, they'll probably go there and figure it out. I was like, I don't think so, man. I've seen Andre Dillard in particular has bounced around at a few spots, and it has not gone well anywhere that he's been. I don't know that San Francisco is just going to be the place where it all magically gets fixed.
Yeah, first round pick, so you get the full investment of the first round pick, playing for what most people would say are the top 2 offensive line coaches in the NFL, Jeff Stoutland and Bill Callahan.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And an NPF last year it's up there with some of the worst tackle play I've seen in the National Football League. It's up there.
Now, if you take into account that he was, assessing fantasy football, okay, I almost made you spit your coffee on that one. He's multitasking.
I forgot he did that in the middle of the year. I was like, geez, boy, what a great decision that was.
Such a nice guy. It's just like
apparently not very smart.
Well, but he seems so. Like it's like.
Well, the evidence would suggest no. He's gambling on in the middle of the football facility, and now he's got this thing going in the middle of the year of, hey, I'll be your fantasy football expert when I get busted for gambling and I suck at right tackle.
Yeah, the decision making left a little to be desired. But you know, when I was 21 years old, again, you could have talked to me and be like, "Hey, that's a pretty sharp kid," and then I wasn't. So it happens. Vingan's here. Yeah, show us your tattoos, Vingan. Unless you have a butt tattoo.
Jack on the YouTube chat says, "Wait, didn't Stilly want to give up the farm for Richardson? If he gets beat out by Daniel Jones, we cannot let him live that down." Stilly did love him some Anthony Richardson coming out of the draft.
Yeah, look, we don't have like. I wish that anyone here kept track of things the way he does and selectively, because we could spend like a week going through his takes that are atrocious.
Yeah.
But you know, for him, I told you, no, Jared, I told you so.
Anthony Richardson is gonna be the best.
He was big on him. Then again, I was big on Bryce Young.
Actually, Bryce Young looks like it's coming together.
Yeah, maybe. I do feel better about Bryce, but like I thought Bryce Young was going to be.
They need to give Bryce Young some time. Get Xavier Legette in there. Get him some time to marinate a little bit. It'll be fine.
Actually, I mean, I like what they've done. I mean, you know, that's that franchise that from the top has issues, but I do like what they've done to help Bryce.
You've seen Xavier Legette with all these like horse videos he's doing.
Oh, I was just going to say, I favorited a bunch of those
Dude.
Derby ones. I need to cut up for you.
Well, he got a new horse, right?
Yeah.
I saw the thing where he got a new horse. He's just riding through his hometown with his new horse.
Unbelievable.
Then he just goes to a barbecue, his little barbecue, gets back on his horse.
Yeah, I saw one
Guys.
video where he just like ripped a squirrel apart and just ate it. I was like, all right, there we go.
Riding that horse around the low country, baby. You gotta love that dude.
I've never wanted an NFL player to be better more than I do Xavier Legette. Need him to be an outstanding player.
MVP, please. If he's close, he's getting the vote.
Golly, we were all over the place today, huh?
I know this show made no sense at all.
How about that? Ian, great start to the week today.
We're off and rolling. It could be one of those weeks, maybe.
Well, it's going to be an interesting week because we got DVD next.
Yeah,
huh?
DVD's coming up. Got a little bit of a different schedule this week.
Yeah.
It'll be mostly normal for us, but you will be in the afternoon on Wednesday.
On Wednesday, it'll
with
be
Kuharski.
PK and I taking over Jared's slot.
Yeah, Vingan will be.
I'm
with me
sure
on
we
Wednesday.
won't take any shots at him at all during his time slot.
I'm sure PK will handle that swimmingly coming up later this week.
Full respect for the host of that time.
That does it for us today. DVD is coming up next. Adam and Willie, you're listening to 102.5, 106.3 The Game.